My name is Cleche. I use she, her pronouns. I was born in Gabon and I immigrated to Canada in 2005. I think immigrating it's very difficult. A new setting, a new context. I know for my parents, all they ever dreamed of was to provide a better life for their kids. Sometimes, I was the only person in the room that looked like me. Seeing, Michaëlle Jean, the first Black woman Governor General in '05, and just seeing all the amazing things that she did and just seeing her on the news, on TV, and just feeling like I could do that too, and why not? And I think that's the power of representation. You don't know who's potentially watching, you don't know whose life you're shaping. You see injustices and you feel like I have a voice, how can I use my voice? I started volunteering in grade 7 with a local organization, working with low-income families, particularly low-income children and youth. I wanted to bring awareness to it. I didn't know how. I felt very disempowered. Like, what can I do? It took me a while, but I eventually ended up connecting with a guidance counselor, and together we kind of brought back to life the social justice club at the school. And that's really kind of how I kind of got my hand in the cookie jar. In my high school, I created a resource locker to kind of provide resources to the people in the school on mental health resources, supports. We put pads and tampons in that resource locker, and it was made accessible for everybody. I was volunteering with the Women's Center at the University of Manitoba, and I saw the opportunity to just be on a youth advisory council with the Canadian Partnership for Women and Children's Health. The co-chair position opened up. Through that role, I got to go to the United Nations 68th Commission on the Status of Women. How can we advance gender equality? How can we address the gender pay gap? To talk about SRHR, sexual reproductive health and rights. In those discussions, I was able to talk a little bit about just the stories of what I heard from people on the ground, right? Period poverty does also happen in Canada. Women, we have to pay for necessities like pads and tampons, or how we're taxed on that, which adds a barrier to accessing these products that in my mind should be a fundamental human right. Since this meeting, a lot of initiatives have come out to help support and address, issues of period poverty. It really shows, the power of people using their voice. So I think to represent Canada on the international stage, as an immigrant, I was just so honored. It was just such a full circle moment personally for me. The famous five, I read their case in class in constitutional law, the Pearson case. And that's kind of how I stumbled on the Famous Five Foundation and kind of looking at their work. And so I sent an email. I met with the executive director and just looking at ways that I can kind of get involved. For me, Nellie McClung inspires me because I think just at the core of her story, what I take away from it is just resiliency. When you're doing any form of advocacy, when you're doing any form of just defending human rights, trying to advance a cause, it is difficult work. Because sometimes you will hear the no's. And I really think of that story when I think of Nellie McClung and how the no's she may have heard, she was really persistent in her cause. She was resilient in her cause. We've come a long way. And I think for me, my goal is to work to make sure that we're always taking a step forward and never back. Currently, I'm in law school. I don't know what the future holds, but I know it's bright. Just keep being yourself, and yes, you can.